T.B.Photo X1.5 to FX, and welcome back to another video. Well, this time we're actually gonna go into our little, that I hinted at a previous video. Hinted, I had the table full of lenses. But anyway, yeah, I know it's a little bit overkill, but anyway. Well, we're gonna start in our little mini-series here about wide-angle zoom lenses, and first out is gonna be the Sigma 10 to 20 millimeter, and I have a cheat sheet here from last episode in this little series about all of the lenses. How many was it now? 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 lenses in this little lineup, but we're gonna start with the widest one of them, or rather, yeah, and it is here on the D7200. It is the Sigma 10 to 20 millimeter f3.5 EX DC HSM. That's a mouthful. Well, as stated in the previous, we're gonna do a little bit of a recap of all of the specs, and I'm probably gonna show you a little bit of the images that I've been out on the town taking while we're at it. And yeah, cup of tea, bad Obsession Motorsports. I mean, if you haven't seen these guys' channels, you don't even have to be a petrol head. If you like dry British humor, these guys are they are fantastic. And I am a little local store here at T Hörnan, the Tea Corner. It is a store that are specialized in tea and coffee here in Uppsala, right across from the English bookstore at St. Olofsgatan, St. Olaf Street. Or the corner of St. Olofsgatan and Svartbäcksgatan 16, Uppsala. Really recommended, and this is the Lugn och ro blend, or which is basically peace and tranquility blend. Yeah, that can be useful. But anyway, the 10 to 20 millimeter, the FX or full frame equivalent would be something like 15 to 30 millimeter. It has a minimum aperture of f22. It doesn't have it's like a G series when compared to Nikon. Since Sigma is a third-party lens manufacturer, it would be like a G series since it has, first of all, no aperture ring on the lens itself, and second of all, it has an internal autofocus motor, which is a hypersonic motor, or HSM. It also sports 13 elements with 2 extraordinarily low dispersion ELD elements and a special low dispersion SPL element. That's one of them. And it has a filter thread of 82 millimeters. And as you will see in the example images, or rather a little bit of a hint from Lightroom, when I was editing the images, I did some screen capture from that, and it turns out that this lens indeed has a quite fair bit of chromatic aberration. The majority will be purple and green when it comes to the chromatic aberration. Excuse me. But anyway, I'm gonna have you show you a little bit of the B-roll. I used the little Panasonic action cam on the D7200 as I was out taking a walkabout, and you will actually notice this is the end of January in the middle of Sweden, Uppsala, and it's this type of weather outside. This is extraordinary. This is very, very unusual that you have this type of weather. But anyway, the lens is kind of cool, and I don't... if you want a guy who is good at reviewing lenses and give you all the specs of barrel distortion, vignetting, chromatic aberration and so on, there is this British guy, Christopher Frost. I will have a link to his channel in the description. If you want a guy who reviews lenses and give you all the technical aspects and show you, as stated, barrel distortion and so on in a more scientific way, I would really recommend his channel. As for me, I want to just show you images that I have taken in a actual, site of usage, or rather, but instead of just showing you boring, I think it's a little bit boring, but I know a lot of people really enjoy it. But anyway, I digress. It is a really interesting lens. This one, I can actually see that it has a bit of barrel distortion that and so on. And I've done a few shots of architectural style photography with it, and that shows you really that you have converging lines, you know, going like the buildings look like they are tipping over backwards. And I have to admit that when you go down to 10 millimeters, you are actually borderline into the territory of fisheye, where barrel distortion is actually the goal effect that you're looking for. So I would actually say that this is not just a very extreme wide angle zoom lens, but it's also borderline into fisheye territory, because you have that effect, you can't really deny it. It's a little bit softer in the corners, yes, I admit that, and I've used this between ISO 100 and 400 when I was out shooting. I used basically manual and aperture priority, and I even did a few HDR bracketed shots. And when I do HDR with the D7200, I usually do one stop under and one stop over, and one correctly exposed, so 3 exposures per HDR shot. But I think that's a little bit of it when it comes to the lens. It is what it is. It's not the most highest quality lens out there, but for the price paid and for the price, the going price for it on eBay and so on, I think that it is a good lens for the money. It's a good lens value-wise, and it's something you can grow with as a photographer. And it's always interesting to photograph things where your field of view when it comes to the lens will actually be wider than your natural field of view as a human being, because apparently, what I've been able to gather, our eyesight is basically somewhere about 58 millimeter equivalent. At least that's what I've been told when it comes to that type of deal, but if anybody out there knows for certain, please put it in the comment section below. Oh, and also, before I forget, when I was out going trying this lens out, I actually passed by the local movie theater, Spegeln, which means the mirror in Swedish, and I saw a kids movie that was actually going now. I think it had premiered the 17th of January 2020. And it is PELLE SVANSLÖS, or rather the English title of him would basically Peter Tailless. And why is this? What does this have to do with anything? Well, the thing is that this movie is set in Uppsala, my hometown, or my current hometown, so to speak. So it's really interesting when you see the trailer and you start to notice, well, I've bicycled here, and I usually take walks along these streets, so it's a little bit surrealistic to see a movie, or at least a movie trailer, where you actually recognize the cartoon settings because they're based on real life counterparts. So maybe that would be a little bit of a fun excursion in the future to do a scenic walkthrough of some of these settings that are in the movie. And this movie actually it was based on a book series. The character has been around for 80 years and was the brainchild of author Gösta Knutsson, who actually based a lot of the characters in this book on real people. And it was also one of the first children's book series that really took up things like bullying is one big theme in this. Bullying, having a crush on someone, and to be different are some of the main themes in this book series and movies, actually, because there are some older ones and this is the new one. So yeah, I digress. It would be a little bit of a cool thing in the future to do scenes from PELLE SVANSLÖS or Peter Tailless. Maybe that would be something in the future. But anyway, also a little bit of, yeah, anyway, I think that's enough rambling from me for now. So, as always, this is Tobias Bergström from T.B.Photo X1.5 TFX. I'd like to see you guys in the next video. And as always, please like, share, comment, and subscribe. Oh, and if you have your own experience with the Sigma 10 to 20mm 3.5, please put it in the comment section below and let me know what your view on this lens is. Good, bad, indifferent. It would be interesting to know. But anyway, as always, take care from now on. Bye.